Okay, it's December 12th, 2023, and this is the meeting of the Wolfeboro Budget Committee at the library. Tonight we're going to do a couple of agencies, which are going to be Starting Point and Kingswood Youth Center. And then we're going to look at the budgets for the Water Fund, Sewer Fund, and Public Works. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I don't think anybody has anything, so we'll start off first with Starting Point.
Thank you. My name is Rachel Stoddard. I'm the engagement specialist from
Could you come right up into the podium, that'd be good. Thank you.
Yeah, these guys don't fight.
Okay.
Well, I got it.
For those who don't know, we provide free and confidential services for victims of domestic and sexual violence, stalking, and human trafficking here in Carroll County. Those services include crisis intervention 24/7, 365 days a year. We dispatch advocates to the court and to the hospitals when they call. We work with our local police. We provide emergency shelter, transitional shelter, financial support, financial literacy, prevention in all of our schools, outreach, and a whole bunch more to make sure that no victim gets left behind.
You've got a slight increase in your budget. Is that due to more cases in Wolfeboro?
I'm sorry.
You have a slight increase in your budget. Is
Yes.
that due to more cases in Wolfeboro?
Yeah, we provided 42 this year. The ask is based on a 3-year average, and we've seen an increase everywhere.
Do you want to give your phone number in case people want to contact you, if anyone at home is watching, so they can have somebody contact you?
Contact me.
Or the organization, in case they have any issues at home
Yeah.
they want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
It's probably me, I just mumbled, so it's probably me.
The
We
phone
want to
number
give you the
for the...
opportunity to give your phone number, your contact information, so if there's someone at home watching, they'll have an avenue to
Yes.
get a hold of you.
If you have any questions for Starting Point, it's 447-2494. If there's somebody watching who needs to speak to an advocate, 24/7, that number is 1-800-336-3795.
And this is for victims of domestic violence.
Domestic violence, stalking, human trafficking, and sexual assault.
Thank you. Any questions for this young lady?
John, I do. Can I just get your name again, please?
Yes, it's Raitha Stoddard. I'm the engagement specialist for Starting Point.
How do you spell Raven?
R-A-E-T-H-A.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you for coming down, I appreciate it.
Thank you
Have a
very
Merry
much.
Christmas. Okay, Kingswood Youth Center.
Is Leanne watching this? Oh, okay. That's why I'm taking notes. I thought she was late.
Yeah, no, she's homesick. How you doing tonight?
I'm wonderful, thank you. Good evening. I'm Zachary Porter. I'm the Executive Director at Kingswood Youth Center. Firstly, huge thank you to the town of Wolfeboro for many, many years of support, and also for many, many wonderful teens that we've served over many years that we've been doing this here in Wolfeboro. We would like to be considered for level funding in the amount of $5,000 at the Kingswood Youth Center. As always, we operate with the mission to provide a safe, positive environment in which youth may grow, learn, and develop important life skills critical to their success in the adult world. And we're really, really proud of the way that our approach to that mission has evolved and changed with the times and the needs of the community, and as a result of the generosity of this community. We have several major programs. Our after-school program is as strong as ever. That's daily after school. Participants receive a free hot meal and then a period of after-school activities, which balances supervised but less structured peer engagement time with time when we have targeted, planned, focused activities to benefit the teens and to provide learning and recreation and enrichment. We find we really do a really good job of striking that balance, and in doing so, we keep the teens coming back for the good and important stuff. So in addition to that, we do our Beyond the After School programs. So those go later into the evening. Each evening we're there until at least 6, and some evenings 7:30. We do a hot dinner and then more focused programs. So we'll do different field trips, we'll do different career exploration, we'll do trivia nights, campfire nights, you name it. And I could go on and on about these specifics. In addition, with those Beyond the After School programs, we do free programs every vacation. Every school vacation, and then also some weekends. We do summer programs. This past summer was our best summer ever in terms of we offered more services than ever before. We had more teens than ever before, and just the quality and variety of field trips and full day and half day and evening experiences really were just more diverse and robust than ever before. We continue to do individual mentoring, so we do that at the center as opposed to at the school into the evenings with a meal provided, and we use an approach of a combination of individual mentoring between adult staff and teens, as well as peer-to-peer group mentoring. And through those services, what we're able to do is we're able to really key into participants' individual needs and emergent interests. We continue to operate our free food pantry, the KYC cupboard. So since 2020, when that resource was established, we've succeeded in each year offering between 15 and 20,000 pounds of free food to the families of teens in this community. And that includes pantry items, but it also includes fresh milk, eggs, frozen meat and poultry, and fresh produce, household essentials. So really everything folks need to create a free balanced meal for the members of their household. We also operate the KYC closet. That's free, lightly used clothing and accessories, and that's available daily to the teens and very, very well utilized. All the programs are free to any 7th through 12th grade teen in the Governor Wentworth Regional School District. We provide transportation. Again, we always provide free hot meals. Wolfeboro is consistently our second most served town. It's also, of course, our home, so you see us out and about in this particular community all the time. We thank you again so much for your ongoing support, and I'm more than happy to address any questions about the center and our work.
Do we have any questions?
I have one.
Yes.
So you're asking for level funding, yet how much have you grown?
Great question. So one way I love to express that is in hours of service. Mm-hmm. So in the year 2019, just before the pandemic, we offered roughly 550 hours of annual service. Once that COVID pandemic hit and we were forced to, for safety reasons, serve smaller groups, we said, you know what, we need to make sure that during these tough times we're providing ample opportunity for the teens. So our manner of mitigating the need to host smaller groups was to increase our hours. We created efficiencies and resources and schedules to allow us to do so. And what we were able to do was we were able to hold on to those increased hours. So now I've been really spreading the word. We truly believe we know we're providing the best of both worlds. We have pre-COVID participation levels, so group sizes, but we held on to those increased hours. So to answer your initial question, we went from that 550 in 2019 to a consistent 800 hours of annual service in these past 2 recent years, and we are prepared and scheduled to maintain those levels.
So how did you make up your funding difference?
Great question. So you've seen our budget has increased incrementally over the years, and grant funding and donations have really come a long way, and we appreciate the constraints all the towns that fund us are under. So we're pleased that we're able to keep coming back with gratitude and again asking for this level funding that is not taken for granted. Thank you.
I got a question.
Go ahead, Bob.
How long have you been doing this? It seems like you've been here a number of years now.
Me personally?
Yeah.
So I started in 2011 in a really part-time role. I did just after-school programs just directly with the youth. At the time, I worked for other nonprofits, and I was also a graduate student. And slowly over those dozen years, I've ratcheted up my role, and it's been the last 5 years I've been the executive director. I was previously the associate director and the program director.
Very
So
good.
5 years ED, about 13 with the organization.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How many kids do you take care of?
Great question. So annually, we serve about 100 teens, and that's been really, really consistent. It's about 100 different faces we see year to year, and our average group size is around 15.
What other towns donate to you?
The town of New Durham, Tuftonboro, and Ossipee, as well as the school district.
They provide some transportation services to drop the kids off and pick them up for a late bus. Is that what they do also, or?
The school district has
Yeah.
discontinued those services with the pandemic, and they have not reinstituted them, so that has fallen on us. We own a bus and our staff, and we now have to use our staff and our vehicle for those services. So they're still available. At this time, they're not provided by the district.
Have you approached the district about seeing if you could start that service over again, or?
We have, and we're being very patient, and that was definitely during, especially when COVID was a factor, our stance was patience. It was a hard time for all institutions. We knew it was a really hard time for schools, so we wanted to make it easier for other institutions, not harder. So we maintain that patience. Now the COVID is not the consideration, it's driver shortage. So yes, we frequently contacted them, and we're very, very eager. So we look forward to eventually having that resource back.
In the summertime, how do the kids get to your place?
Great question. They do need transportation in almost all instances, which is something that I regret to say. I wish very much that we were able to provide it. Sometimes when we have a field trip that is in a different community, we provide a hub where we meet folks, and that's helped folks. We also do have an agreement with the Hope House, and this is kind of a one-off basis, where any 7th through 12th grade person who is housing at the Hope House, we will transport them to and from any and all of our programs. And I will say that is one of the benefits that the teens of the town of Wolfeboro have, is we do happen to be here in town, so we're a little closer to your residents.
Any other questions? No, thank you for coming in.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much. We really appreciate it.
it. Okay, Mr. Town Manager, what would you like to do next?
Yeah, John, if we could go over the package that I gave you, which is regarding consideration of emergency over expenditure of the 2023 operating budget. You're well aware that New Hampshire DRA has disallowed warrant Article 18. As a result of that disallowance, the town finds itself in a position where we're short $547,000 and some change. In the letter from DRA, they reduced the 2023 voter appropriation from $51,331,109 to $50,763,346. The Board of Selectmen, acting at their December 6th meeting, motioned under the direction of the Board of Selectmen. They authorized the town manager to initiate proceedings necessary under RSA 3211 for emergency expenditure and over expenditure. That RSA and the procedure of that is contained within the packet. That motion was made by Brian DeShays, seconded by Linda Murray, and it passed by a motion of 5-0. So that's why you have this package in front of you this evening. procedure states in the RSA, such action shall be made prior to making any such expenditure. No such authority shall be granted until a majority of the Budget Committee, if any, has approved the application in writing. So that's why we're here in front of you as the Budget Committee. So a little bit of further background. As you're well aware, the 2021 audit report indicated we had a fund balance, unassigned fund balance of $4,236,656. That prompted us to go forward with a warrant article of $850,000 on the 2023 warrant for town road repairs. That article passed by a margin of 88.2% of the voters casting their ballot. Meanwhile, as we move forward, the Board of Selectmen engaged into an agreement with the Friends of Pop Whalen for a donation of $2.7 million. That agreement and all the supporting documents are attached here in this exhibit for your review. That project passed by 67%, and we moved forward with the project, and we actually completed it pretty much on budget. On August 3rd, the Board of Selectmen of this year, the Board of Selectmen met with the Friends of Pop Whalen, where they asked for an extension of time for the full donation. The motion was made by Dave Senecal to grant a one-year fundraising extension to the Friends of Pop Whalen, fundraising during that time to be paid down against the $569,829 owed the town of Wolfeboro as they receive it. To date, we've received $2,190,000. On July 30th, we received $2,050,000. So they've been making a couple of incremental payments. The cleared checks are in your packet along with the accounting for them in the UniSmart reports. As the 2022 audit was published in late October, it identified that we had a fund balance of $302,000, which also showed a shortfall of anticipated revenues of $2.8 million. That's backed up in the document. Large portion of that is the timing related to the donation, which came in from the Friends of Pop Whalen. It's noted in the audit report, and as we move forward, we identified that we had some problems. We were engaged with DRA at that point, and DRA, the town, with our auditor, legal counsel, we're having conversations about, we've appropriated $850,000. You're telling us we've got $302,000 of unassigned fund balance remaining. How do we make up this difference? There was a lot of dialogue back and forth. At the end of the day, New Hampshire DRA disallowed that $400,000 and some change, or $547,000 in warrant article 18. That immediately prompted me to create a spending freeze. The balance within that account at that time was $71,426. So we had a significant shortfall of that $850,000. I'd like to note that a large portion of, or a portion of those monies was used in the July storm damages to fix some washouts and road repairs that occurred in North Wolfeboro. Those are actually itemized out within this document. We have identified within our pending revenues a grant opportunity through FEMA for $1.1 million. If we receive that, it's our understanding that we'll receive 75% of that, which brings that to $896,481 worth of revenue for that July storm. But we all know that that takes time for those monies to come in. The town itself can directly account for $109,745 of costs for materials and equipment rented. We also incurred $18,000 in staff overtime. So we had a significant impact on our operating budget. So to date, we find ourselves short of closing this shortfall by $113,000. We also are in the middle of December. The Director of Public Works last year did a very nice job in documenting how much his annual monthly costs were per storm. That is supported in the backup, but he averaged $54,000 a month in storm-related costs. Those are overtime costs, sand, salt. It does not include fuel. So at this time, we have a shed full of salt, we have a shed full of sand, we have tanks full of diesel, we have tanks full of gasoline. But our problem is we got 3 weeks left in the month, and if we have a couple of storms, we're gonna overspend this budget, and we're not gonna close the gap on this shortfall. Based on that, we're recommending that the the budget committee rather, where you do have this authority, consider applying to New Hampshire DRA to overexpend the 2023 operating budget by not more than $175,000. That would account for our $113,000 shortfall, and that would account for any storm that we may have coming through or any other emergencies which could impact us. Where would that money come from? Well, we really have two options. We can ask New Hampshire DRA to consider allowing us to utilize the donations, which we've accounted for at $2.19 million for the Friends of Pop Whalen, to pay for those over expenditures. Or we could ask for a transfer from the enterprise funds, which those enterprise funds have a current balance or a balance in the 2022 audit of, I believe it's $8.1 million between electric, water, sewer, Pop Whalen. In closing, we've worked hard with legal, our auditors, New Hampshire DRA, and at the end of the day, this really boils down to a bad timing issue. There is a possibility that if we do not close this shortfall, that we'll have a item within our audit report that basically says this was a bad a year, and the reason is because you overexpended the budget due to, frankly, some planning failures. Moving forward, it is our intention. We do not, in the 2023 warrant article, have any warrant articles that would utilize unassigned fund balance, because we simply don't have the funds to do it. And I would sit here and say that going forward, we would also closely follow the policy which is in place that states that fund balance should be utilized to buy down the tax rate, and we should keep it at a greater in the proximity of 10% of the operating budget as voted in the current year. There's a lot of information here. I don't really expect a decision on this tonight. I expect you guys to digest it. I have also drafted a very rough letter on your behalf as the budget committee, outlining where we're at. This would go to the commissioner of DRA for consideration. They can really do one one of a couple things. They can do nothing. They can go forward and they can authorize us to do a line item transfer from enterprise funds to general fund. They can authorize the usage of the Pop Whalen monies, or they can tell us no to all the above. But in an effort to try and keep Wolfeboro open and operating if we get some storms, winter events, this is a good avenue to go. Regarding the timing, we got a late audit report, not making excuses, but that's when DRA really noticed the problem, when we noticed the problem, and when the correspondence happened. That gave us about 5-6 weeks to try and close this gap. We've worked diligently with the department heads. We've closed all but $113,000. If we get through December the way we've gone to this point, we may make up that $113,000. But one snowstorm is going to put us upside down. There's, like I said, there's a lot of information here. I think all the backup information that you need, it's identified within the memo to you with the exhibits. The exhibits are titled on the top of the pages for you, for ease of reference for you. Up to and including the agreements with the Friends of Pop Whalen, copies of checks that have come in for donations, Board of Selectmen meeting minutes, letter from our auditor, letter from DRA, memo from me about the spending cuts, the DRA form that they use regarding the disallowance, and as well the where we've made up a lot of this money to this point. So I'll try to answer any questions that you will have.
Tom?
Just procedurally, would we be writing to this administrative unit, or would we be writing to the Board of Supervisors, who then contacts the administrative unit, right?
No,
The statute says they have to be concurred by the budget committee.
Yeah, in writing from the budget committee.
Budget committee to them.
To them?
and
And then you, in turn, do the same, or?
No, we have to come to the budget committee. RSA 3211
Yep, I see.
tells us of the process.
Okay. This is the
If
first,
we-
so.
Yeah, if we spent the money, we couldn't later then go to DRA.
Right.
We
Uh-huh.
already spent. We have to come to you first, and that's the step we're taking. You've got to hear our case. We need a majority vote, and then you send the letter, and then we wait and see what DRA
Okay,
says.
thank you.
And that's laid out, Tom, Exhibit A. It gives you the RSA, and then it gives you the procedures laid out, documents to be submitted to the Department of Revenue Administration.
Got it. Thank you.
Josh?
Paul?
You had your hand up first, go ahead, Bob.
I just have a quick question. When did we pay the contractor for Pop Whalen? Like, when was the, what's the split between the payment versus when we received the donation funds?
So we were incrementally paying the contractor right through until the end of the project, and then there was some retainage that was released toward the end. So essentially that was paid for as we went along with the project.
So the Warren article, I remember at the deliberative session, they had 1.6 million going into it, right, Linda? And so why?
Who had one? It's 2.7.
Friends.
2.7.
Total, but at the time of the deliberative session, they had 1.6, if I remember correctly.
In pledges.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Oh, just in pledges they had it, not in, okay,
Not the whole amount. That's what they could count on. They raised the
Okay.
rest of that over,
okay.
a period of time. But all the expenses, just about all of them, happened in 2022.
Okay.
Which is why you have the difference. You don't have any.
That's what I was asking, because I
Yeah.
mean, they finished in
It was open January, right at the beginning
Yeah.
of January.
January
Yeah.
That was the push to make
Okay.
that happen. And then the payment didn't come in until July.
I think
Okay.
if you roll back the tape, almost the day after the warrant article, or within the after the waiting period of the warrant article, the construction began,
Yeah.
because the ambition was to have the arena open.
Well, in fact, the Friends of
Boards.
Pop had already put $30,000 of their own money for the structure and took a gamble that it would pass.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Because they didn't want to lose the skating season.
and there was also on at that deliberative session, there was a bubble chart put together that showed who was paying for what. Okay. And then there was another bubble chart, which Linda was kind enough to share with me, is how is the debt being assigned for this project? And 87% of the debt is carried by general taxation. 13% of the debt is being carried by Friends of the Pop Whaling Arena. But my question, though, if I could, to Jim, you said logically, the DRA could do something, let us transfer money, but the last one you had is they could do nothing. Well, I'm not sure I understand how that works. If they do nothing, the bills still have to get paid. What would happen?
We have the money in the bank. The money is in the bank today to be able to pay those bills.
So okay.
There'd be a statement on our audit, and there's a possibility of that statement, we might have a harder time getting a loan or get higher interest or stuff like that, and it's not.
Well, that was going to be my second question. I think I asked that a couple of days ago, that it may not cost you interest points on New Hampshire bond bank rates.
Correct.
But if you were to go to a commercial lending institution, they may want to tick the rate up.
Yep.
Or want more security on the note.
Correct. And
Okay.
as of today, we essentially have the same bond rating as New Hampshire Bond Bank.
Yeah.
So we may not be in as favorable position as we are.
I was just asking the logical
Yep.
question, if DRA just took the letter that gets sent by the budget committee and just puts it off to the side and says, we're just going to pocket this one.
I don't think they'll do that. I think what they will do is, it lays out the criteria for them denying it.
Yeah.
They'll follow that criteria, and they'll make a determination based on reasons to disallow or reasons to grant and turn it around. I've had very good conversations with the assistant director down there. He's like, submit it, we'll take it through the process. The director will hand it down to me, and we'll see where it lies.
And the three enterprise funds, water, sewer, and MED, they're sitting on 7 million roughly of cash.
So that is actually
8 million.
contained in this report for you.
That's it, it's on the, I think it's 8 million of cash and 6 is buried.
Yeah.
8.1 at the end of 2022.
Yeah.
918 for the water department, 6.4 million for the electric department, sewer department 925,000. Pop Whalen is under 1,000 or 100,000 for a gross total within the enterprise funds of 8.169 million, and that's on Exhibit F.
Buried. Okay, thank you.
I got it.
Go ahead, Bob.
Oh,
Okay, I recall us doing this. I don't think we should take any out of water and sewer. These guys are here. We don't want to beat up their funds.
So hit Barry when he's not here.
He's got 6 million.
Barry's got 6 million. He won't
But,
another 100 grand.
we did this once before,
Did we?
and yeah, we did. I don't think you were with us at that
No,
time.
no.
This goes back a ways.
Yep.
Well, let me see now. Since we kind of got blindsided this tonight, I didn't have any time to research it, but as I recall, we had won a lawsuit regarding the rapid infiltration basins. We the amount of the money we won was $7.5 million. I shouldn't say we won. We were, you know, as a result of this lawsuit, that was the judgment, that we would receive $7.5 million from the engineering company. The attorney says, as soon as you pay us the amount of money you owe us, which was approximately $600 and some odd thousand, we will release the 7.5 mil to you. Linda, you might, I think I'm
We're close enough.
all right, okay, so.
I will agree.
All right, so Pete Chamberlain, who was the finance director at the time, put the package together, and in his 42 years of service in the state of New Hampshire, he said this was the second time he had done done this. So, and it was our first time. So he put a package together, and as I recall, the RSA was pretty specific. You know, you had to make your request, you had to state your reason for the request, and you had to identify the source of the financing. Now, your letter here, to me, strikes me as a little vague to fill that requirement. That third, you're not identifying a source of the source of where you want the money from. I think, you know, and now I'm going back by memory, but I did at that time I read about it, and so that's why, you know, we were just kidding around. But to me, I think you got to pick where the money's coming from, and go with that. And we identified a $6 million surplus sitting in our electric fund. And to me, I think that might be the obvious place. But I haven't read this through yet, all of it. But I generally speaking, I know we have to vote on this. And you need a majority vote. But I would be in favor of voting on this. This was just a it's been a rough year. So, but I would vote for it. That's it. Thanks, John.
I have a question, John.
Yes, sir.
I would agree with Mr. Tuffer that this, I'm assuming, is a draft.
Draft.
Okay. I think to be more specific about where the money's going to come from our point of view, needs to be part of this letter before I vote on it at all. So I think we need a specific source of funding from the town manager that's going to be part of this letter that goes forward to me.
We're not gonna vote on this tonight, are we?
No, no,
I need to marinate on that question.
I would like to finish up saying that we did a majority vote. We approved it as the budget committee, and the DRA said, okay, release the money from your surplus fund to the attorney's office. And we had a check for about $5.5 million within a week. And the front office was very happy about that.
Give me $5 million.
Jim, what's the deadline you want this done?
Give me $5 million.
So honestly, I'd like to be able to button this up Thursday night if possible, so that we can get it in the mail to, even if I got to drive it down to DRA and hand it to the commissioner on you guys' behalf. That way you guys can sign it on Thursday night, if you are so inclined. That'll keep the ball moving, and then if Steve gets hit with any snowstorms, we've got this in advance of any emergencies.
So we probably on Thursday night don't want any young children watching the budget committee meeting because they want a white Christmas.
And we don't.
We don't.
We don't.
The Grinch does.
Actually, no snow
Everybody
days.
dressed up as the
Can I
Grinch.
ask a question?
Go ahead,
Just
Bobby.
just on the letter, I mean, I know there's a little bit of kind of mea culpa on here, but I'm wondering what we're doing to make sure that when we move forward with projects, that we have something in code or in writing in some way that says we are not going to go down this road again.
Well, obviously, hindsight is perfect.
I-
Obviously, you're not going to do the timing. I think
That's right.
generally the feeling of the Board of Selectmen is we're going to need more pledges in place. The things with the friend popped up very quickly. It was a lot more, and we either had to take down the building, with my understanding it wasn't safe, or we did this and we gambled and did not think about the 2 different years. and that's what we learned.
So do we have something in code, or are we gonna put something in code moving forward, so we do not have this happening again?
I don't understand what you mean.
Okay, this is all, let's deal with what we're going here right now and not the future.
Well, I'm just wondering about a little
We'll-
bit
we'll-
of
we'll let the
mea
selectmen-
culpa
We'll let
when
the
you.
selectmen do their job, they'll write something up if they feel it's appropriate. Let's deal with this warrant, this letter we want to.
This is what I'm dealing with. I feel like we need a mea culpa in here saying we're not gonna have this error again.
We can't do that.
Every project is different. It's got different parameters around it, different funding sources, so I'm inclined to agree that. you know,
Okay, so December
select-
14th, we'll do the letter, we'll sign the letter if it's approved. If anyone has any questions, please contact Jim directly, and get your answers, hopefully before we do the meeting.
I think Paul had one more comment.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We're not gonna solve the problem tonight, but I think if I hear correctly what Bobby is saying, so what do we do on a go-forward basis to ensure that if a donor is making a pledge, that it's, you know, it's bankable? And we're not gonna solve that tonight, and I think you're making an ask to the Board of Selectmen,
Yes.
because they're the fiduciaries. At the end of the
Yes.
day, buck stops over on that side of the building, and it might not be a bad idea to have them come back and say, this is what we're gonna do on a go-forward basis with a little bit of concrete. I don't think it will help putting anything in the letter,
Okay.
my personal opinion. I don't think it'll help, you know, putting anything in the letter. They'll just look at it and say, yeah, that's right. I think it's assumed that we're gonna do something to fix it.
And one thing I can say is if we, and I think from now on, and the board has talked about it, we will not use unassigned fund balance for a warrant article. If this had gone and it had not been that way, our audit would have come out fine.
Yeah.
It was that we took and used that. Next time, we'll take that unassigned fund balance and buy down the tax rate, which is what we
That
used
would
to
be a good
do.
thing to do.
We learned,
Yeah.
okay? We can learn.
I think the other thing that is important to understand is, if we know that there's a donation coming forward, we would have to have the conversation, are we gonna bond the full project?
Well, I think you're required.
So that it is covered in the event that this occurs. There's a lot of moving pieces.
Bob?
John, I agree with you. I think we should hold off on discussing what we're gonna do down the road. We have to focus on the issue at hand, and I think Thursday night is a reasonable, I would like to have a couple of days to read this stuff, and I think we would be better prepared on Thursday night for it, and there are 7 of us here tonight. We're only missing 2. We could actually vote on it tonight, but I'm a little uncomfortable with that because, and obviously I don't need to say any more. So,
John, can we make sure that Matt and Bob get it one way?
Yeah.
We can
I can
email
send it,
to-
what I can do is, I'll send it to you all electronically, so you have it electronically as well.
I just have one other, John, if I could ask.
Yeah.
Okay, so Exhibit J piqued my interest, and most of this looks like general fund stuff, right? So on Thursday night, when we talk general fund, can we talk about this, because this exhibit, my initial question is, you found $434,000. You know, you did more than just rattle the couch cushions. But why can't we just harvest this whole 434 for 2024? No, and I don't want to talk about it tonight. We'll talk about it Thursday night. We want to get, as John said, we want to get these gentlemen through the gauntlet. But I look at, we have monies left over in the Libby account, and we have monies left over in other places, and a lot of money. So we'll talk about it Thursday night. Okay, thanks.
Thank you for the time. I would say if you, I'll send this to you electronically. If you have specific questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Casey's not here tonight. She's on her way back from a mini vacation. She'll be here Thursday as well to answer any other questions that I'm not able to do. I guess my only question for you is, do you want me to identify the fund, or is that something you as the budget committee want to do?
I think you're the town manager, you can do it.
Yeah, well, did you check with town council yet on this, what you're doing with this?
Yeah,
You did?
we've been in contact with council, we've been in contact with DRA.
Yeah.
Council actually sent back the draft letter regarding the context with a couple of items, and he actually prioritized the enterprise fund over the use of donations, but.
Yeah, I do too, but I think you should be a little more specific than that. That's my only catch with this.
And at the end of the day, I don't want to spend the 175. I just want to be clear about that.
Well, none of us.
If we have a good 3 weeks, we're not going to spend it.
Yeah. Does that mean we'll have 5 inches of snow on the streets?
I know where you
Depends on
live.
how I wrote it.
Jim, did you identify in each budget what to take out, or does the department head, how did that come about?
Yeah, so we met with each individual department head, went through their budgets, and again, if we have a good year, the remaining 3 weeks, I think we've got some areas in labor that we're going to be able to make up some funds, which will have a spin-off to Social Security, retirement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, for example, Public Works budget is already upside down, so it's already too tight there. But we have other favorability in some other departments. And it is itemized in there, in Exhibit J.
Yeah, John, Exhibit J, that's what I was mentioning earlier, that, so as an example, they harvested $2,000 out of the executive budget for printing. So and it goes on, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff you did, I mean, a lot of hard work in here, so, hoorah, but it's $434,000 that you found in a couple of weeks.
I'm not seeing a library.
In communications with the library.
Okay.
And no enterprise funds per se,
Correct.
right? They stay away from the enterprise funds. So this is
You'll
general
have that
fund
done by
stuff.
Thursday, exactly the amount we're gonna vote on by Thursday?
Yeah, I would sit here with a level of confidence and say at this point, we probably won't have anything from the library.
Yeah.
But if we do from the library at the end of the year, it's gonna be a bonus for us.
Okay.
As long as it doesn't sound-
Okay, all right, so anything else from anybody? Again, if
I
you've
just
got any
have one
questions,
question. Is this
after
gonna
you,
harm any of the employees?
Nope.
Okay.
after you look through all this stuff, please contact Jim directly. Preferably before noon time. He's in a good mood till then. I found that out myself. Okay, let's move on. If you can just introduce yourselves, we got a couple new members.
Sure, Rod Dempsey, Water and Sewer Superintendent.
Steve Randall, Director of Public Works.
Great, you guys, we'll start with the water fund, does that work for you guys? Okay, we'll start with the water fund first, if we could.
So in the water fund, the first budget that you'll come to is personnel administration, which is health insurance, life disability, dental, workers' comp.
And that's,
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Where's the 100 series on this? Where do the employees sit with this fund?
So there are two divisions. This is an enterprise fund.
Okay.
So there are two divisions. There's water distribution, there's water treatment. However, as personnel administration for the general fund budget is in a standalone budget. Same thing with the enterprise fund. The personnel administration is in a standalone budget outside of their operating budget. So when you get into the operating budgets of distribution, treatment, and sewer collections, you'll see there's 100 series.
Yeah, I saw
associated
the
with that.
100 series, but I didn't understand how this didn't have part of it, kind of like if I consider
So
some.
one of the reasons we did this a few years back, these used to be into each and every budget. And quite frankly, there were a couple of departments who had the autonomy to be able to utilize those funds if they
got to the end of the year and they were down, had a change in staff, and they had some favorability. And then if they went the other way and there was no favorability and it cost them more, they would come looking for additional funds. So this was a change that happened, I guess, about 3 years ago now. And it's helped us to be able to look at it in a gross number and say, okay, we've got a balance of this much in the account. The other thing is, with rates being set usually in mid to late November, this committee already has their budget books, and we'd have to reprint the entire budget book to get you the actual.
It became a cost allocation nightmare. That really, that's what it was. Allocating costs within an enterprise fund it was mindless.
Jim, I was just wondering, you had mentioned the timing of the rates. Have you heard the numbers yet for our?
Health insurance, 10%.
Oh, it is? Okay.
So just to give you some context, I just heard today,
It's going up.
there's a, I can't remember where this individual was, but Health Trust in that community, which is a competitor, was 18%, and Conway is looking at a 25%. So we're at 10%, we're looking good. We have created a healthcare committee to look at options to increase deductible, reduce copay or increase copays, increase employee contributions, whatever it is moving forward to try and alleviate some of this impact.
You're creating a health insurance review?
Health committee with the employees.
Yeah. Can I, question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is your committee, Jim, gonna, I'm not asking you to do it, but you're gonna look at self-insurance?
We're gonna look at everything,
No.
but, you know, it.
You know, I generally like to look at the data before I summarily just say it's out of my question. That's how I do it.
Yeah.
So would you be looking at?
Nothing's off the table.
Good, thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
So I have just a question off of you saying raising the co-pays and on the employees. Are we going to lose employees, and then do we become less competitive, and now are we raising our rates to bring employees back in if we start?
This is all strategically planned with the idea that you will see in the town manager's budget $25,000 for wage and compensation study to take place this coming year in 2024 to align with union negotiations and health insurance adjustments if needed.
Cool.
Okay.
You're doing a great job, Ron.
Instead of the 200.
We won't get into that.
Where do you want to go now, Jim, to the,
So the next one would be computer maintenance. Again, this is an administrative allocation that is
Page 4.
400 series?
goes out to all of the enterprise funds for computer maintenance, and it's level.
All this stuff is paid by the user, is that correct?
Correct.
So anyone that's
And we
not
did
hooked up to the
just-
water doesn't pay anything for it?
We did just increase water rates effective January 1, based on a recommendation from our consultant.
How many users for just water? Do you have an idea off the top of your head? How many users are hooked up to the system?
I believe around 2,600. Good question, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty close to that.
And change, plus or minus.
Okay, so.
So next would be distribution, 100 series.
Page 6.
Look at that cost allocation.
You have some guys that like on call, don't you? Like on the weekends and stuff?
Yes.
Does that rotate different guys or?
Yeah, different guys, 1 and 3 currently.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 3 guys, yeah.
200 series? 300 series,
I have a couple. 341.
okay?
So I'm just curious why you cut your communications. Did that go somewhere else, or do you just have something that?
That's the moving of the telephone line into IT's budget.
Okay. And then 380, the 5-year average on that is 45.21, and you're asking for 12. Is there a reason why our outside services are shooting up like that?
So right now, the year-to-date is almost 11,000.
Mm-hmm.
So everything, that goes along with everything that goes up.
You
I
doing
guess.
any water studies?
Huh, excuse me?
In that line, you doing water
Yes,
studies?
that's out of the consultant line.
I mean,
That
is
would be
this
at 311.
is this just a different trend where we're using different outside services? Is that why it's jumped over the years?
Partially, yes, but then you have, so like for outside digs for contractors, their costs are going up, so thus our costs have to go up. So last year, we brought in Dawson to do the downtown just by the M shop. So we had to bring them in to do that. That was $9,000 for that shop.
Okay.
So there's a size level that we are comfortable with doing, and then that's an old 1890s main. That
Okay.
requires a little bit more than what we're capable of.
Thank you.
Okay, 400 series,
435. Oh, go.
go ahead, Bob.
Go.
Bob, go ahead, Bob.
No, you got the right line.
Go ahead. 435. You can have it.
Thank you.
Somebody actually wants to fix it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's not a majorly big issue, but I would like to know what's involved in this building.
It's basically, so my intention this year or next year was to actually re-shingle our pressure reducing station building and as well as the Milton Road pump station building, just, yeah.
So this is all the outstanding pump stations and all the structures
That's,
covered under this blanket?
that's right.
Okay, fine. I don't have a problem.
500 series,
Okay, it's just 562, where what you were advertising and why it's gone away. I'm just curious. I mean, it went from 225, shot up to 1862 for your actual, and now you're going back down to 300. Are you really going to be at 300 if we're spending 1862?
Yeah, that's another one where our advertising went up, and I believe it was
Postage.
That's a good question. I'll have to get back to you on
Jeff,
that.
did you have anything that required public notices?
So every time we do flushing,
Right?
That goes.
So
That
that
goes-
advertising might be public notices for.
so that
flushing
also
and
is
stuff
tied
like
in with the postage too,
Yeah.
that got moved to treatment.
So
Yeah.
is that an accurate number? Is what I'm saying. I mean,
So I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
I'm just curious if it's an accurate number, or if the
That is so,
taxpayers later will be like, oh yeah, we did
So-
this again.
ideally, yes, we're gonna be able to bring that in at 300.
Great.
That's
Thanks.
the best answer I can give you.
okay, 500 series, 600,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
I had 630, maintenance supplies. I looked at the 5-year average, 36,580. That's about what was last year. You're looking for 44,000. I'm just wondering, is it prices or what is it?
that prices of brass is,
Not the one-
is crazy, it's like 30%.
Okay, so we're not talking about quantity differences,
Right.
new items, in
Right.
particular. We're just talking about prices.
Unit
So-
prices are up.
You're gonna see that across all of these budgets.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
No, it's good.
Yeah. 700,
680, can I go to 682 first?
yep,
Was that money pulled from somewhere else? Was it somewhere else and now
Yes.
this is a new line?
So, and again, we tried to separate, everything used to be in 680. So we separated that out between safety for, whether it be machinery, cones, so on and so forth, versus PPE and things of those natures for the actual guys.
Okay, great, thanks.
That's been across the board as well through all the budgets.
700.
Yes, John?
Line 743.
Okay.
Meter replacements, 45 grand. I noticed it said new account previously capital outlay. Can
We took the direction of the budget committee last year who said, take and put this into your budget, don't do it as a capital outlay, make it part of your operating budget.
Okay.
So that's why you see that there.
I thought that was the
Yep.
case, but I wasn't sure. That's the result of that.
And also, was it higher than 45,000? I seem to remember.
Last year?
Yeah.
It was, I thought it was 15,000 last year.
Oh,
We
okay.
want to increase because if we do the rotation that we want to replace, all
You're
our
right.
meters.
Yeah, you're right. So, and I think one of the reasons we requested this last year was to get it into the budget because of the default budget would come out. The capital outlays, the first things that come out in the default budget, and I think that's why we did that. Well, you did it. We asked for it.
Yes.
You asked for it, we
We
followed through.
suggested, right.
So the quantities I'm looking at this 220 and MIU meters, is that the total or is that the amount that you're doing on a yearly basis?
So that's the amount we want to do on a yearly basis. So in order to replace every 10 years, we want to be around that amount.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
Water service management plan.
That's right.
Oh, they're smart. They got a plan.
We're working on it.
Look at 630, you've got hydrant replacements. Are those 4,000 apiece?
Yes.
What's the difference between those and the one that's in the capital outlay?
The ones that we have in the capital outlay are the ones that we want to use for lead replacement, the older inventory in the 70s and stuff that need to be replaced. The ones that I have in the operating budget are just for ones that get damaged, hit by a vehicle, stuff like that, freeze up.
Are those about, so in this capital outlay, that's gonna be like 5 new hydrants? Both the same price as the ones that are in the budget?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. 800. Uh, 900.
Hey, John, I have a
Yes, sir.
question. It's been a long time since I looked at the numbers on this, and this might be a question you may not be able to help me with, but do you know what percentage of the water department budget goes to debt service?
I couldn't.
Okay, all right. That's something I can call you up and ask you, or look up. I can look at the debt service myself, but
You can, the July presentation I gave you at least looks back a couple of years.
Yeah.
Those charts I put up.
about 10 years ago, it was about 40%.
Yeah.
That's why I was wondering if that had come down a little. That's all. Rod, don't worry about it. I can.
Well,
Okay.
so, maybe I'm not understanding your question. So the debt service, right now is, principal and interest is planned to be 320.
Okay.
320 is a percent of 889. That makes sense to you?
Well, it doesn't. It's not the entire water budget, so.
This is one part of the water budget.
Right,
And then if you take
right.
the other one, you just do the same
Is there a
thing.
debt service in the others? I forget.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Yeah, do it out of that. John, can I ask,
Yeah.
so when we visited earlier, you told me how many gallons of water, this may be a leading question, how many gallons of water comes out of the beach pond each year, roughly? 20 million? Yeah, like 20 million gallons?
Yeah, so last year, for an example, 215,540,000 gallons.
Came out.
That's correct.
How much went back in?
How much went back into the pond? Oh my gosh. Wait a minute, I'm
All
sorry.
of It's all before.
Yeah,
But
it's
you-
not for the insurance rates.
Enough.
What you were telling me is that you were close, but you were running a little below on refill. And
Yeah, well,
you
our
blamed it on
si-
the weather and you blamed it on leaks.
You know, this year, we actually had a great year, so we had no
rain.
issues with, of course, with pond level.
Yeah.
But as mentioned before, the safe yield is 260 million a year, so we're well below. God forbid something happens to the pond, but we're doing well.
You want to watch Bob swim? How much is the hydrant flushing?
Yeah, it's actually not as bad as you think, so it's 7,000 gallons.
The reason I bring up the question is I believe that there's some data that is available in the Water Enterprise Fund that tells us, or answers the question, when people come forward and say, we want to extend the water lines into new developing areas and those things. There's answers in the water fund. There's a study in there that we can look, not us, but others can look at. It's there.
I know myself that probably 1 million gallons went into my front yard over the last 6 months, so, but fortunately it's fixed now, and I didn't have to pay for it.
And what's the deal with the generator? Jim's gonna like this one. What's the deal with the Jenny on Sewell Road? Did Jim?
That's a sewer plant, different budget.
Oh, that's true. I'm in the wrong budget. I'll get to you later.
Probably in that one.
Hopefully you forget. Hold the question. Thanks.
But we have that safe yield, but we have water pipes going down Clark Road. And at one point, there was a study that we could use down there as a water source.
Yeah.
So it's not as if we don't have some kind of idea. Very old study, though.
Okay, Jim, let's move on.
So you move on to water treatment plant, page 13. Again, this is the plant, is a distinct separation between water treatment and water distribution. So Rod will be able to answer any questions you have.
300 series?
Did you say 100?
300.
What? Where are they?
Water treatment plant, page 16.
No, we're on page 13.
Page 13.
Okay, 100.
114. So the 5-year on that was about 100,000, and we're up to 170 for our hourly wages.
So the reason why this one's higher this year is because we're using one of our employees to get his grade 3 treatment. So we transferred him from distribution to...
I'm sorry, that just went over my head.
Wow, we moved
Please
one
explain.
employee. We moved one employee from distribution to this account.
Okay.
So that's why he's basically there full-time to obtain his treatment 3 license. So which would increase the...
Okay.
And there was a 14% reduction in
the other account.
distribution.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
200 series. 300 series. $400. $500.
550. So you had requested 3,200, and the town manager and the select board put you up to 4,400. Do you need what they put you up to?
And that's a good
That's
question.
part of why we shifted from distribution. So it used to be broke up between, like, distribution would pay for some part of the printing and then
Okay.
treatment the other. So we switched everything over to the treatment plant, which is why,
He's paying for all of it.
correct, which is why distribution went down, treatment went up.
Okay.
Same money, just
Okay.
split differently.
They have the pamphlets that they send out every year, so that's the expense,
Yep.
that's the money.
Thank you.
600.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
610. Again, I'm looking at general operating supplies, and don't tell me when I ask, it's prices.
It's definitely prices.
It's
So-
definitely prices.
So the quantities I'm looking at are roughly the same
Yeah.
as
The chemicals, like Josh would say, they're gone up so much.
Out of sight.
Yeah, and when they put the bids out for next year, I mean, our budget's already done before next year prices actually come out.
So we've called, we've gotten, to try to put the budget together, we've done what we can to try to get that number as accurate as possible. But by the time these go till we get prices in, it's 4 or 5
I
bucks.
kind of assumed that's what the problem was.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you didn't want to hear that for an answer.
That's what it is.
Can I just hit 680 for a second first? Thanks. The 5-year average on the safety equipment is 663. Are you undervaluing that account? You're already at 687, I'm thinking it's safety equipment. Did you maybe?
I believe we we changed the 680 to the 682 again.
Correct.
I think
That's
it's the same as the distribution one.
Okay.
Yep, and again, that will follow through with all the public works stuff.
Okay.
So the
I
numbers will
might
drop.
ask it again. 'cause
That's
it's-
fine. It is kind of confusing if you're not sure.
I
about
just
the
want, well, I
department.
have to, I want to know what
Understood.
things are moving.
Okay, 700,
Thank
800,
you. Wait a second. 751,
Mm-hmm,
furniture and fixtures.
yep.
Do you need that 1,600? Is this like new furniture or is
So
it?
it's
Tools and-
it's tools and equipment and
Okay.
toolboxes, so,
Makes sense then?
yes.
Thanks.
800,
So we're gonna do 810? That's a big bump. Can you explain 810?
Sure. So we have a new primary operator that took over last year. He requested this. He has never been to this conference before. It is
Okay.
extremely valuable to the plant operators.
So it's one conference,
It's one conference.
okay.
Mhm.
900,
So Bob, maybe your question gets answered, you sum the 900s over that budget, you sum the 900s over the other budget. What percentage? 40% actually, I think. 40% debt to
40%.
debt to expense. Debt to total expense.
Didn't change.
okay, Jim, what's up to go now?
If we could go to sewer,
Pardon me, which one?
sewer. The sewer department, sewer fund, same thing. Personnel administration, I believe this makes up one full-time employee. And here is the cost for personnel administration under page 1.
Any questions on 200 series?
Same thing on page 4, computer maintenance, we've kept that level.
Okay.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
In general, the health insurance rates are set, does that automatically adjust the buyout figure that
No, we
No.
went, no, we went to a set rate,
That's a fixed rate.
that's,
fixed rate, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, and that is, I want to say,
2,500?
I was going to say 2,500, I thought was the number.
the buyout's not based on a percentage.
Nope.
No, those days are long gone.
Is there anyone that's still on that?
There are a few employees that still get a, I forget what they call it, a health care stipend from when they changed from one plan to the other. There was a certain, like 60 cents an hour or something like that. There are a few employees that still have that, but very few.
Okay, 400, 700,
So next would be page 6, sewer collection.
100 series. $200 series. There, guys, on standby, again on the weekends for this?
That's
part, right?
correct. Yes.
But we're not on standby, actually. We do go in every Saturday, every Sunday, and every holiday
Oh, okay.
to check our pump stations.
Okay, great, thanks.
So it's the same crew. So there isn't a water and a sewer guy on, it's one person. So
Okay.
they just rotate through.
Okay, is this where I get to ask about the Jenny?
Whenever you're,
No,
I'm ready for you anyway, so you can bring it.
Okay, 200, 300,
380.
okay.
We're at 34 right now, 55. Why the bump from the select board? Linda?
We took something out of the capital outlay, 15,000,
Okay.
and put it in here, and it's a sewer main inspection.
Okay, 400 series.
Is that an outside service?
yes.
Yes, it's a truck that will actually come with the camera equipment, so we're renting their service
Okay. So that's basically the biggest increase in this.
Yes.
because of that,
And
yes.
it was put in capital outlay, we put it in the budget.
Do they do
Is
all
that
the
a- is
lines
that
or
an
just
annual?
certain parts of each year? Like you do Main Street this year and then move on to something else next year, or how does that work?
Yeah, I have a certain area that I would like to concentrate on this year. It's
Okay.
basically everything that goes into our Laner Street pump station. Because when we get rainfall, that tends to be the biggest
Fills up.
I&I issue, yes.
And the hopes are this can give us some information whether or not we can actually line these things, or if they have to be dug up and replaced. And obviously, lining is much less expensive.
You're not talking, oh, Lane Street, are you?
We're talking everywhere
Yeah,
As
eventually.
much as we can. We need to inventory the whole town.
Okay.
And we do that periodically.
We do have some videos from previous,
I thought so.
yeah, from previous services. And think, we won't get into it, but Main Street, when that's gonna be redone, I mean, that's gonna be a
I know we're
big.
talking future, we probably don't want to think about that, but, so Main Street could be a candidate for sleeving, lining the pipe?
No,
It's gonna be a
more
good
than
place.
likely, no. If you had to, without looking at it, I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
It's way too old.
300 series,
Yeah, that's fine.
400, $600.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
line 630. Maintenance supplies, looking at the 5-year, 10,744. I'm just wondering what the crushed gravel, when we start talking about that, is that again a pricing thing?
That's a pricing thing, and honestly, it wasn't really accounted for in that budget before.
It was in highway?
It was in the highway budget. So we
Okay.
allocated it properly
So-
this time.
You fixed it.
I did, I fixed it, yeah,
Okay.
So you're assigning the costs where they're incurred.
correct.
It's chapter 1 of your accounting book. That's good.
Right.
Remember that.
Okay, that's
And the
fine.
rest of it is because everything is done.
Yeah, yeah. No, I assumed that, but I was kind of curious.
700 series,
On his.
Right.
800 series, 900,
So on page 11 is the water treatment plant. This is from our contracted operator. One thing that I would say about this budget is when you look at the contracted service, you're gonna see a bump. Quite frankly, what happened was the number for the 2023 operating budget did not get punched into the budget correctly, so you see an increase higher than what we anticipated. It's all level, but we miscalculated the 2023 budget based on the contract and when we actually sat down and talked with them. We actually sat down with them this year and talked about this in October. We got their capital requests and we got their contracted service number, so this reflects a real digit.
Jim, how many employees do they provide down there?
3.
300 series, 400, 500, and 900.
I have a question, John.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, did I read somewhere that you got a new permit with the DES to operate the basins? Did the numbers change at all as far as the 340,000 gallons per day?
No.
So they stayed the same?
Yes.
And how long is the permit for?
5 years, I believe.
5 years? And no chance to change those numbers in the 5 years?
So they contemplated, there's been a big changeover in DES, and a lot of the institutional knowledge about our system is gone
Huh?
down there. So when our consultants brought the permit down for renewal, it quite frankly took some of them by surprise, and it took a long time to get it back. We finally got it back at the level we're at, and they feel comfortable with it, and I believe it is 5 years.
And they came and toured the plant.
They did.
They walked in, and Brian and I went on that walk, and they were pleased with the way the town was managing it. And I have them send me the sewer levels and what's going into the plant. And right now, they're only sending, I think, 250,000 gallons up there a day, way underneath, and that's what's coming into the plant. So we're not, the pond isn't going up, and they watch that very carefully, so we're fine.
So every day you send 250 up there allows you more days to send 425 up.
Yeah.
Because in the end, you have to come in at 340 a day for the entire year, right? So,
But they're also looking at a pond level.
Yeah. Right.
And so they're pleased when they are picking up the level of the pond too.
John?
Yes, sir.
A few years ago, we acquired some property because there were some breakout issues over in Tufton. How's that all going? Remember that
Yeah, it's
negotiation?
fine.
Everything's good, no problems there?
Yeah, they were walking it there. I thought they were pretty impressed with you. Remember, we put money to do a
Yep.
study?
Yep.
And they were
And
impressed
the
with
water
it.
coming out, going down into the basin, good?
Yeah,
issues
no
there?
problem. They're doing the
So-
studies. They were pleased with how we were managing it.
That's great. That's great.
Yep.
There was a little bit of question about some sand, but it actually was determined, they tracked it, and it was actually coming downstream. It wasn't from RRIBs. So we're in good shape.
I'm not saying necessarily Tufton Road doesn't still have issues, but
Yeah.
DES did not.
Okay, Jim, you want to move now to,
Probably now we could go to Public Works.
Do you want to do the capital outlay?
We'll do a capital outlay at the end because they're kind of tied together.
Okay.
So first budget under Public Works is the town engineer budget. We're still actively pursuing filling this role without a whole lot of success. So you can see that we've got those wages in the budget, and we're continuing to try to move forward to fill the role.
if you find someone, Jim, that's full-time, how are you going to cover the health insurance and all that stuff
It's calculated in the budget.
in this budget here?
It's calculated in the budget with all the health insurances.
Okay.
Yeah, you pulled health insurance out a few years ago and centralized it because it was getting crazy trying to, it's all held at general executive level.
200 series, 300 series, 400, 500.
550. It's a big jump for
So, yep.
printing.
So the printing for those is every time I have to print up either for example, when we had the tree study done and I have to make 10 copies for you guys at $100 a pop,
Okay.
or so on and so forth. That's the big number for that, the big driver.
Okay, 600 series.
Nope, 562. Net under 5.
Mhm.
So advertising, same thing, big jump.
Yep, so, and we do more of it, and it costs more. Every time we run an ad in the paper, anytime we do any of that, it just, the prices have gone up. Yep, we went from 2 to 3.
I remember correctly, a normal weekly ad in the Granite is $330.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So every job that we have to post for bid, for anything, all has to go through.
Thank you.
600. And
Wait, someone taking 620?
okay.
Another huge jump.
Yep. Again, anything we have to put together for presentations, for people, for anything.
It's 1,200 more.
That's,
For folders? I'm sorry, I've asked the
No,
office
it's
supplies on
fine.
everyone. I think you
No,
guys
it-
did at the
I-
select board too.
no, I understand, that's the answer I can give you is, that's what we forecast to spend.
Okay, 800. That's it in that. Administration.
Okay, so our next one is streets and highway. You're gonna see some increases within this budget. I think Steve can easily, or not easily, but can easily explain them to you. I'm not sure if they're as easily justified, but he's gonna try like heck.
Yes, they are.
Oh, that was helpful, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
There you go, Jim.
Back up the
Is
bus.
that called throwing them under the bus?
I think so.
Sawzall when you're planning.
All right. No problem.
Okay, 100 series. $140. Your overtime is a decrease in overtime. You asked for 103. They gave me 94.
Correct.
Did you get?
What's the year to date? Do you have the year to date on that, Jim?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, what are we?
You have the year to date on what-
You got it right there?
84, 526.
90. I'm at 90 right now.
90, okay.
And if we don't have any storms, we're okay, right?
Well, but even still, for example, we were in this morning at 4, because we got a scud last night. There was 3 guys in last night for 3 hours. So it doesn't take a whole lot.
But in this figure is the July storm also, right?
In yes, my year-to-date, yes, 100%.
Thank you.
Who makes the decision to have people go out? You make it?
No, so it's a combination, so it depends, if it's gonna snow, and we know it's snowing, so we'll make a plan.
Yeah.
Right now, trying to balance the budget and where we are in the world. So we typically will come out at 4 AM, try to shut down by 10 PM, assuming we're not getting 1 to 2 inches of snow an hour. Short of that, like last night, for example, the PD will call and say, we have, slippery road on College Road, there's an accident, we need some help. So then once we'll come out, the guys will check. I say we, it's not me, it's Tony, it's the highway foreman.
Yeah.
He manages all of that. But then he'll determine who he needs, and then he'll call in collectively.
Okay.
Now, if it's a snow event, if it's gonna snow tomorrow morning, we know it. If it's gonna start snowing at midnight, we'll make the plan, everybody knows they're in at 4 AM. Trucks are on this, so they're out, get the roads cleared before the school buses.
If they can, will some of the guys go home early so they're not,
Can't do it that way.
you can't do it, okay?
No, because their union contract states 7 to 3:30 is their time, that's their 8 hours, so before 7 is overtime and after 3:30 is overtime.
They do have the ability to flex with some comp based on the
Correct.
contract.
Right.
But it's all usually within the same week. if I
Within
remember.
the same week, and that's kept internally.
Okay.
And his 5-year average is 97,000.
Okay.
So can I follow up on your
Yeah.
question? So the 94, you asked 103, 103.3, 94.9 came in. Was that a, help me out, Steve, if I need to find some money? Jim, was that a help me out, Steve, I need to find some money?
think that was to pay for my
Yes.
generator.
It was the
Yes.
back of the generator?
No,
That was a cut, that was a cut.
yeah, I think that was based on the 5-year average.
Yeah.
But you short sheeted them even off the 5-year, you said it was 97 5-year average?
That is correct.
Okay. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, 200, 300.
$380,
Okay,
outside services. 5-year average, 97,492. If I said to you, you only got $125,000 instead of the 135 you're looking for, would you cry and moan, kick me in the head?
I don't kick.
Oh,
Am I crying, Mo?
Really crazy stuff.
And I don't cry.
okay.
So just moaning.
No, you guys have to do what you gotta do, I get that. I brought this budget in as tight as possible to get the work done that we need to do.
I'd like to move to change this line to $125,000.
is there a second? Hearing none, motion
Hold on,
fails.
hold on. Can you tell me, just give
Bobby,
me a
are you
rundown
gonna
of
se-
outside services?
Bobby, you gotta listen to me, I'm asking for a second, is everyone gonna second?
I might second it. I have
We
a
don't have
question.
time to go back and
Well,
forth.
I'll second it so you can ask your question.
Okay.
Thank you. Could you tell me what the outside services are that you would be giving up?
If you're gonna take 10,000 away,
Yes.
honestly, I will probably look at the entirety of the budget and spread 10,000 over that. I can't look and take 10,000 out of that one line. I can't say I'll drop off this particular project. I will.
John, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, where's the gravel roads, the 11 miles of gravel roads? Where's the annual, you got a roller out there? Is that in outside services or that's at?
No, that's in rental.
But you still, okay, never mind.
Mhm.
All right, got it.
John, on that.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
On that 3A, my immediate reluctance to reduce this line, I started at the bottom with contract services for catch basin cleaning,
Mhm.
and I think that's an extremely important thing that you
Right.
need to get done. And some years back, we had a discussion over 2 years' time, 3 years' time with Dave Ford. He wanted to buy one of these things, and we kept, well, I say we, the budget committee, not so much me. I wanted to give it to him, but anyhow, he wanted to buy one of these things because he wanted to do twice as much catch basin cleaning as was done. So that 30,000 like just jumped out at me, and I'm thinking that you might actually need more than that, you know.
So I have a schedule. There's two parts of that. So a catch basin truck is $7,500 a week, and we can do, if we do that in a week, we're lucky to get downtown done. So over the course of our town, we have, don't even have a quantity on the amount of catch basins and drop inlets we have in this town. So whereas I'm partially in agreement with what Dave wanted to buy a truck, but a catch basin clean truck is $600,000. They do have other technology in trailers, which I have looked into, I have priced, and I am tracking costs such as this, so I can have it over a course of time, so then maybe I can present it to try to get one. The other thing I have to balance is we only have so much time. So you could give me $60,000, let's say, for catch basin cleaning. I'm not sure I can clean $60,000 worth of basins in a year. I think I'm pretty confident I can do $30,000 next year. The year after, I can do more and do more until I can get us onto a rotation.
Right. If I heard your numbers right, though, you're looking at 4 weeks then on 30,000, that's it, right?
That's it.
So, yeah, that's, well,
It's,
yeah, and the reason why I say that, and I felt this way, I don't know, 10 years ago, I think we're looking at a scenario where we're going to be seeing a lot more rain.
100%.
going forward. We've had a couple of rainy summers already, and it looks like that's the direction New England is going in, and that's why, so.
I'm in agreement 100%. I'm trying to balance between what we
Right.
can actually get done.
Right. So I'm going to vote no on this motion.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
So why don't we do that pavement crack sealing ourselves? Why do we contract out?
Because
for
that's
that?
not just out there with a 5-gallon bucket.
Okay.
So there's a machine that comes out, it's hot, it's injected into the cracks,
so
it's
another
rubberized. Yeah,
machine.
yeah, that's not a Home Depot 5-gallon bucket.
And my comment on that is the more we reduce, this is how things get conflated. The more we reduce the construction budget on the capital side, so that we can do what we think we're doing appropriately, the more crack sealing we're gonna have to do, or the roads are gonna break.
Correct.
The more crack sealing we do, saves the condition of the road.
Can
so we don't
prolong
have
the life
to
of the
crack.
road so that we can play catch up to do the
Correct.
paving and.
Correct.
At some point, the road breaks, but the crack sealing is the way to offset.
It's a good Band-Aid.
Yeah, it's a Band-Aid, that's exactly right. So I'm probably in the same space. I'm not in fully favor of reducing this line item.
Okay, anybody else?
Sorry, buddy.
Seeing none, the motion is to reduce line 380 by $10,000. If you vote yes, that means you're going to reduce it by $10,000. Bobby Budman,
No.
Bob Tuffer,
No.
Tom Bell,
No.
Brian Black,
No.
Bob Lohman,
Yes.
Paul O'Brien,
No.
Linda Murray,
No.
and I vote no. Motion fails. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 1.
Never mind writing my name down.
I've got to know
He knows, right? He knows. What road do you live on?
No crack,
I'll find
Crack
out.
sealing there.
I'll find out.
no crack sealing on that road.
Okay, so we're all set on the 300s, go to 400s.
That's right.
I actually get service by the
The office supplies.
Anyone have any comments on 430 before I move on? Nobody? Okay.
Don't you have a comment for this? Why would I have a
600.
comment on 430? They're already at 170.
600?
610.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm gonna flip the
Is
page.
that another one of those horrible operating supplies that are just
Yes.
jumping up?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, plus, so you get the painting for the crosswalks, the beads and all that stuff has gone up exponentially. A shovel now is $65. I mean, it's just exponential.
Okay.
What's the price of salt? How's that as far as cost now? Gone up a lot or?
Yes, so last year it was 84, now it's gonna be 92. And I've reduced our usage. So last year I reduced it 40% from the prior year. I'm trying to fine tune that even more, but
It's good for the water systems.
Can I just inquire what dock posts and deck boards are?
sure, exactly.
Just on our dock, but the,
Yep. Yep, so every time somebody comes in with a boat and smucks them, we have to fix them.
okay. I see. So that's the necessity.
On, keep going on 600s?
Yeah, question, Jim.
Yes, sir.
This is kind of a group thing, 630, 33, and 34, they're all maintenance supplies, which you've got them broken out. Just as a comment, I'm assuming, and I don't want to assume anything, but I'm guessing that probably a good part of this is price driven.
Oh, why the price has gone up? You mean?
Is it price?
Oh,
Is
so
it price driven?
so this was.
Salt, sandstone, magnesium chloride, they're, all the
Yeah.
way down the line.
So, this happened before I started, obviously, but prior years, it was all in one line. And there was no accountability, I guess, to what it is. So now I can take it and go 630 is my winter maintenance. So that's my sand, my stone, my salt, my mag chloride. My 33 is my pavement.
Right.
So for patching, and then obviously 34 is for regular summer maintenance on the roads.
I understand.
Yeah.
But my question is, the increase is fairly significant.
Oh, yep.
And my question to you is it a volume issue or is it a price issue on supplies?
It's mostly a supply issue as far as cost of supplies, by far.
So it's all right, he's asking the P
Yeah.
times Q question. Is it
Yeah.
price or quantity? And you're saying
It's
price.
price. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
price.
level quantity, price has gone up.
That's fine.
Yep, price.
Thank you.
Is this where you roll the
Will you
roads?
cross my name off now?
No, we're not, we've got 4 more to go.
So we'll tell you at the end of it.
Tell you at the end of
Where's the roller work being done?
it. Rental, it's under rental,
It's in rental.
which,
And you're doing 13 miles a year, roughly?
yep. And did you go by rental?
No.
Yeah.
You may have already went by rental.
440.
Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
cruise right by it.
We're right through it, never mind. Thank you.
Where are we at? 34?
Ankles and braces.
The first aid kits for the vehicles, are those done by an agency, comes in, looks at them and puts them in?
I'm sorry?
The first aid kits,
Yes,
just someone maintains,
Yeah.
that comes in, checks everything?
yes.
What are those work zones? Are those,
The
Boards.
signs, the roadwork signs, so by impacted. Yeah.
do we have any of those orange ones, the big orange ones that light up?
Yes, we have 2.
2 of those? Okay, 700 series. 800 series. How many guys you got in that road scholar program?
Right at the moment, 4. I'm hoping to, I want everybody through it
That's good, that's good.
at some point.
They doing it online, or do they have to go to the UNH or?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay, so your next budget is on page 14. This is a new budget to you. Last year, the state of New Hampshire made funds available to communities for bridge repair work. As a result of that, we went to the Board of Selectmen. I think we have 7 municipal bridges in town, is that correct?
Yes.
And we created the department so that we can maintain our bridges. With that money, we got authorization to be able to purchase a trailer, some equipment, so that we can treat the bridges and take care of them. If you recall, 4 years ago now, probably, we replaced the Pleasant Valley Bridge. That was a very expensive project. We got some state aid money, but we want to be able to maintain these bridges. So you see this budget, we have funds that are in a standalone account for this bridge money, and if needed, we can transfer money into this if Steve runs into a major issue related to bridges. But this is the general budget as to what he thinks he needs to be able to perform his bridge maintenance.
Did this benefit from the state also include dams? I don't know if we have any in our town. No dams.
We do have dams.
We
in our
have
town.
We do have dams.
Yeah, but this doesn't include that.
So dams are expensive things too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
John?
Yes, sir.
That Pleasant Valley Road Bridge, that's one of the good things the state does for localities. We got an 80% grant for that, on that project, and that's the state procedure on bridges, 80% grant money on that, so, and it came out very good.
We're gonna put the top coat on it next year.
Good.
If you, the geometry of the bridge is not the greatest, you know, you travel
Right.
along so a lot, you'll notice the water puddling. So we'll fix that when we put the coat across the top.
Pleasant Valley Road, it was kind of a disaster. About 10, 11 years ago, Dave Ford was talking about a bond issue to do the entire length of it. And because of the recession and everything tightening up as a result of that, he decided to try and do it cash, and he did parts of it cash. But I think a couple of times since, it's deteriorated to the point where it probably would have been better to do that bond issue, but things were a little rough back then.
Well, we've done, you know, last year we did a chunk of it. We did the last 800 or so feet to the town line, reclaimed it, base paved that this fall. And next year, the plan is going to be to build the bad sections in the middle and overlay it from Crossroads to Brookfield. And then that one will be done.
Very heavily traveled road, right?
And you also did the entranceway onto
apron.
Route 28, which
Yes.
was a mess. They
Yep.
did that. and
Yeah, we
that's-
milled that. And that was, you know, to try to get that through until, because that will get supposedly rebuilt by DOT at some point, but at least that will handle the stop and go part. Then we'll just have to worry about rebuilding that middle piece from Crossroads to this way.
John, question?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know it's a future thing, but did DOT or the town come to an agreement as to how you get on Pleasant Valley Road? Are you gonna go across, or you're gonna?
Right now,
that-
it's
is that a-
going,
is that a
the
solid
last
issue?
time I saw it was supposed to be a T. You come out and they're
Alright.
gonna square it, so you come out at T, you won't have that yield that you
Right.
have right now, it'd be a stop sign and
Quick question on PBR. So the section near Brackett Road, Warren's Hands Road, up to the top through Brookfield, did Brookfield
We
pay?
just went to the town line. Brookfield paved that they overlaid that themselves.
Oh, they did that
Yeah.
themselves, okay.
Yep. They have a new,
That was coordinated nicely.
so actually, it almost wasn't.
Oh,
So Chris forgot to, so I had talked to Chris, who took over for Brookfield last year, and then he got a phone call from his paver that said they were coming. Our pavers were ready to go in on the same day to do the reclaim. I swapped ours around because we didn't need both of them in the same spot. It would have gone well.
well, it's beautiful, thank you.
So,
Okay,
Make it look good.
300, 400, 600, and 700. It's on the bridges, new bridges. We'll take it once that money runs out, we'll pick that up on our own.
Unless the state would like to continue to give us money, John, that we can continue to replenish,
Okay.
we'll do that. But I think there's $130,000 in that account or something like that,
So
so.
can I ask on that then, the 630, if you were, I mean, you're requesting 4, if it's coming out of another fund, that's just sitting there, why do we shoot that down to 2? I mean, we're at 18 right now. Is that a factual number then?
I'm sorry.
So the funds are coming from somewhere else, right? We have
Correct.
them sitting in a pot, so should we be saying that the funds need to be there in the budget? Because you had 4,000 as a department head,
Mhm.
and it got put down to 2. Should that still be at 4?
Well, I think the theory of cutting it back to 2 was because we have money in a side account, but this is a start to help fund it on its own. So we're not constantly just pulling out of that bank on it. This gives me, you know, 4,500 to maintain it, whether, you know, ceiling and those
Okay,
things.
so this is actually coming from the taxpayers, not from this fund.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Next is the Public Works Garage. These guys maintain the entire town's fleet of vehicles, 2 full-time employees, and they do a great job at keeping our fleet safe. Steve can answer any questions you have.
Okay, 100 series. $200. $300.
John, on 332, You went for 86 grand this year, and is that just something out of the ordinary on maintenance?
I'm sorry, 332?
Yes, on 332, it has actuals up to $86,000.
Oh, that's, so yeah, so 332 is a revolving reimbursement account. So
Okay.
everything runs through that, and then we bill out to each department every month. So that actual number won't be corrected till next month.
Okay, thank you.
Look at the wrong sheet.
400 series.
Excuse me, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Just one other question on 332. So that, when we talk about the maintenance vehicles, we're talking about the whole bloody fleet?
Correct.
Everything?
Everything. Fire, police,
Okay.
MED, parks,
Gotcha.
everything.
Thanks.
I know I'm not supposed to ask this question, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So do the revenues and the costs line up? In other words, what the fire department, police department pays to have you maintain their stuff, do the revenues and the costs line up? You may not know that now, but that would be a question.
You mean what we spend versus what we bill them?
I come in for an oil change. An oil change costs, $50. Costs you $50, they pay $50.
So I can get more info on that, that's fine.
Later.
Are you talking, or did they put the employee time in that too?
Nah,
Okay, because that was gonna be my answer.
That's-
We don't
that's-
charge them
Yeah.
like Jiffy Lube does.
yeah. You
They
got,
pay for
you
parts.
got a couple of people, it's in the noise.
No.
I'm talking about you're doing meaningful work on a
Right,
vehicle.
so if you come in for your tires, and your tires cost $500, so if Tom brings his thing in for $500 worth of tires, he gets billed $500 for
Okay,
his
good.
tires.
Just want to make sure. Just take out the labor and, the direct costs of the stuff you got to do. Does it line up? That's all. And you don't make it line up by charging a surplus on top of it, right? You don't.
No, we don't mark it up,
Good, thank you. Appreciate it.
unfortunately.
That could be the
Oh.
generator.
System benefit charge. Thank you.
Okay, 600. 700.
I have a couple.
Yeah.
On 720, on the garage, you putting some new doors in up
Yes.
there? Okay,
Yep.
so, and then on 740, I see new AC machine for newer vehicle, Freon. We changed Freon in the vehicles lately?
Well, it probably shouldn't say newer. I think that it's newer in there twice. But we need a new AC machine is what I'm
Oh,
asking.
okay, thanks.
Okay, anything else on 700? $800. That professional development, just like NAPA, do they give classes on stuff?
Yep.
You guys go to that?
Yes, they do.
Cool.
Okay, that's it on the garage.
Okay, so your next budget is Public Works, Buildings and Grounds. You're gonna see a significant increase in this line. That's because we've moved a full-time employee from Streets and Highway into this budget, and he's doing a significant amount of work with the buildings and grounds. As you recall, one of the things that occurred when Steve came on board, we went away from doing a lot of capital projects like the Department of Public Works used to, and we've gone to doing road maintenance. This afforded us the ability to shift this person in to take care of some road maintenance, or some building maintenance, some ground maintenance, which includes the bridges, docks, and Steve can explain more as need be. But this is just, you'll see that increase, that's a shift.
Okay, 100 series.
140,
Okay.
the jump in overtime?
Same thing, correspondence, because there wasn't a person there before, now there is. So that's one, so Bruce, it's Bruce, and he also is the one that runs the sidewalk machine,
Okay.
so.
200.
Needs a name.
Hmm?
We have to name our sidewalk machine.
I think he has a name for it.
You have 2 of those, a spare or something? You have a
Yes.
spare also? Is that the one that was in the fire, or is that a,
No, that,
we've gone past that one already?
yes. I think they would like the one that was in the fire back,
Better?
actually, it was better.
What was that? I missed it, I'm sorry.
We had the sidewalk machine that was in the fire
No.
back several years ago.
Yeah.
It got replaced.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think the new one's got a bunch of attachments, right?
No, so
it's got a Coke
the,
machine on the back.
the newest one we have is a pre-off, that's the track machine, that's all that it does. So then there is the trackless, which is a 6 series, that's the one that has a bunch of attachments, that's a very poor design.
Okay.
It breaks every time it goes up. The series 5 is the one that was in the fire. It's coming from there.
300 series. What are we spending on 311 consultants? It's gone.
So that's where, for instance, we're doing work, anything we're doing at the docks along those lines, that's where I'm paying them out of. So we're doing mass landing, engineering, that get paid out of here.
So the buildings up here at Clark House and stuff, those aren't part of your responsibility at all?
Yeah, that's, I was gonna ask the same question. Is there any place, or maybe, is there any place, like a listing of the buildings is available that says Steve's building, Christine's building, Tavis's building, Tom Zoggy's building? Is there any list of that around? I don't ever remember seeing it.
No, I don't think so. If you've been here a while, you just know. what
Yeah.
it is.
Well, that's one part, but maybe, I'm sorry, John.
That's okay.
But maybe I'm interested, because when I first started this gig, I said, one of the things we really should do, and I actually got it from you, because you said you want to fix what we've built. Remember that? You did that
Yes.
at the deliberative session, and I said, that's not a bad idea. And I was, I'm kind of keen on wanting to make sure that we fix what we built and spent millions on. And the only way you can do that is you'd have the buildings and you can say, are we fixing those things? Yes or no? Be simple. Call it out, look at it.
Sounds like asset management.
Yeah.
It is.
Well,
But we
yeah,
have not
but
built.
it-
sort of like
But
having an
it's
asset
kind of
tag
like,
on
it's
it.
kind of like in the
Makes sense to
fog.
me.
Yeah,
So you know what department's responsible.
Yeah.
we've had a horrible time getting asset management for a building. When that town hall
Yeah, I
got
remember
built,
that.
I wanted an asset
I remember
management
that.
plan, and I've never gotten it.
Dave and Matt Sullivan went off the deep end.
And so,
But I
I
mean, at
don't
least
know
the
how
start of
you.
an inventory, because if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And if you at least know what you got to start with, that might be, that's a speech. So it'd be nice someday to look at that.
Okay, 380, the janitorial services at the railroad station, that's just cleaning the 2 bathrooms out back?
Yes,
They don't clean the inside of the railroad station, right?
no,
Does that go out by bid?
yes.
Okay, 400.
So the railroad station's your building,
Yes.
okay?
Dockside, railroad station.
And the generator's in your building.
Okay, move on to 500 series.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Line 680, a new line? Because we never had any expenses in 20, we never had a budget for it in 2023, but all of a sudden.
Correct. Yep,
This is a new line?
that's new.
The cones and barricades, are those ongoing?
So
Or
this
is that to get it started?
This is to get it started, and then we'll see. So right now, the only department really that has anything is the highway department. And what we ran into this year is we were way under on any of that stuff.
Okay.
So every department should start to create their own, to have their own marked, so that we can do they can do their own work.
Right, okay, thank you.
And the 5-year average of that is 0.
Yeah, I know. Because we didn't have even have a budget last year.
Yep.
So each department's going to have their initials on their cones?
Yes.
Isn't that great? I got my own cone.
So
All the contracts are gonna have-
you laugh, but if we don't, they're all gonna end up in the water department.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
guarantee
heard
it.
that about those guys.
That's exactly
Guarantee it.
right.
I
They
bought
end up-
3 cones this year. No, I'm
Right,
just
and he's
kidding,
got
but-
300 of them.
Running water, grind the shale steel and we'll put them up on the single track trails to keep people off the track.
Okay, we're all set on 600, let's go to 700,
Coneheads.
800. Okay, that's it on building and grounds.
Okay, solid waste. This is one of the areas that hit us with the contracting service. Steve's looking at options to save money in the future. He'll be able to answer any questions you have.
Okay, 100 series. Those guys do a good job too up there. They do an excellent job, in fact.
Busy.
200 series. $300.
Yeah, John, now, so what you were just talking about, Jim, outside services, so we really spiked on the tipping fees. Do we have an ongoing contract?
Yes.
We do. And did you know it was going up this much this year? Or?
So, yes.
Okay.
Yep, we knew it was going up. I have to go in front of the board next Wednesday with a new rate proposal
Good.
for our new rates, and then hopefully have a discussion on long-term view. This is only going to continue to get worse.
Yeah.
The tipping fees are only a part of it. The trucking fees are going up exponentially higher.
Wow.
So that's actually a very large part of it. Not to dig into it too deep, but we've spent almost $500,000 in trucking fees in the last few years.
And one reason why I'm asking is I was wondering if this is this would stay in a default budget. You know, this would really kill us if we went into a default. If it's a contractual.
Yeah, I think if it's in there and it's a prior year and it's a contract, it's there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's contract.
Yep.
We have a lot of questions regarding contracts, default budget,
You got the lawyer
This.
working on that.
ambulance,
Yeah,
DRA,
yeah, because if
revaluation, all of those items.
we can really
In the
get
past, they've always kept them in.
hurt if
Right.
we go to default and we lose a lot of stuff because of.
But I think what Jim said, and your good question, I think what Jim said is anticipating, let's get the bill of materials of all the things that would stay in or not.
And check with DRA to
Yeah.
make sure the
And check with
drawings
DRA.
are that, I think is what I heard.
Yep.
It's related, but it's not in here, but this, outside services budget. Who's thinking about getting, I'm gonna make up the number, just to be provocative. Who's thinking about getting 25% of our solid waste out of the waste stream? Who thinks about doing that? Rhetorical question at the moment. know
What do you
I
mean by recyclables?
Yeah.
So we're at 38% right now.
Make it 50.
So,
I'm just
Yeah.
being provocative. I'm not trying to solve for an answer, but this problem gets bigger over time. Tipping fees are gonna go up, hauling fees are gonna, it just gets bigger. And so there's two ways you do it. You keep paying or you reduce the amount of quantity. It's a P and a Q again. So rhetorical question, but something I'd ask, you might wanna think about looking at.
But that costs more money as well.
well, but
It
no,
may be a one-time investment, multiple time
So-
investment.
so-
I'm just asking you to think about it, that's all.
but hang on, quick, Paul, and I understand your question. Say we're at 38% and you say make it 50. There has to be 50% of the material coming in to be recyclable.
Sure.
There is a number of things that are recyclable and only that. So if we're capturing a very large quantity of them, which we are, because those guys do a fantastic job up there, you can't just, we can't just inflate that number if it's not there.
Explore it. That would be my only advice. I'm not trying to summarily dismiss the idea as bullshit. I'm just saying, explore it.
Can you get people to not use paper plates?
I don't know.
You know,
That's right.
that's what you're
Not
talking
by-
about, it's an education.
Yeah, one of the things the
Not
Energy
by the-
Committee
by
a
the
few years
box.
ago said is there's two things you can do. You can conserve energy, right? And you can buy cheaper energy by replacing it. And that's a smart thing to think about. That's all I'm suggesting. I'm not suggesting that Steve and the guys up there are doing anything but a great job.
They certainly are.
Can I ask a question
Sure.
on that, though?
Yep.
There's a revenue offset for this when
Yes, there
when
is.
you dump.
Yeah.
Yes, there
What's
is.
the revenue offset for the
Oh, here
percentage?
it comes.
Happen to have that. So right now well, this is probably for the middle of November.
That's
So
okay.
we
Just
have-
curious, the revenue offset.
So we are at an income of 141,665,
Roughly speaking.
roughly. And we paid out 341, so we're $200,000 in the wrong direction.
Where do they haul this stuff? Over the western part of the state or down to Rochester, Connecticut?
This is going the western part of Belmont over that
Yeah.
side, because that's where Casella is. So right now, we are locked in with Casella. Waste Management doesn't want to touch us with the services we require.
Right.
The goal, over time as we grow, there's some options.
They don't bury that stuff over there, do they?
Belmont?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I think they transship it.
No, I think they should, I think they take it over to Vermont.
That's what I said. I think they transship it. They take it there and then they send it someplace
Yeah.
else.
I've only ever hauled demo in there, and that was years ago.
Yeah.
So what do you think we're paying them for a trip over there?
We're paying them right now $412.50 every time the truck leaves the transfer station,
No matter
just
what-
for the truck.
No matter whether it's steel or,
It doesn't matter.
Anything.
And that's just the truck. That's not what's in the back of the truck. Next year, it'll be $465 every time the truck leaves.
okay. Say I decide to open up my own business, I go in people's houses, and I go all over the place, I come up to Wolfeboro.
They have to pay. So they have dump stickers, and a lot of that is, the clientele. So the vendor that's coming in,
Yeah.
or the contractor that's coming in. So there is a give and take in that.
But they're only paying $5 for the dumpster.
No,
right?
so they have to buy, I want to say it's 10 dump stickers, and then there's a fee for waste after that as well, and that's
Okay.
factored in on that. So it's not just free reign.
But the headline is, for every dollar of revenue that comes in, you're writing a check for $3 to somebody.
Yes, pretty close. In
Buck in, 3 out.
in the mass solid waste is a problem, but it's not the problem. The problem is the construction dumpsters. Those are the ones we are losing hand over fist on, because every time, if you bring your couch in, and they charge you, the fee rate is $5 to get rid of your couch, it costs us $20 to get rid of it.
Yeah.
That's the one that we have the control over. The garbage, the regular waste, because you pay $5 for a dump sticker, and maybe you eat a lot, and you have 10 bags 3 times a week, there's nothing we could do about that. But you bring your couch in, that we can control.
Mattresses.
Right, mattresses, those things, shingles,
Shingles.
that stuff we can control, and we at least need to be covering our costs, and we're not doing it.
Yeah.
And just for truth in advertising, I mean, this has hit us hard. In 2018, we spent $287,000
Now,
for our outside services. And now we're looking at a budget of 708.
And on top of that, I don't know whether this is in that revenue, and on top of that is the price to recycle plastics has gone.
yeah, there's
And
very
the
little
price
return.
of spot metal has gone.
Yep.
And so that stuff's coming in, and we're encouraging people to recycle it, but we're sticking it in cubes and leaving it out in the backyard until we can find a better spot price. It's not a good situation.
Question? Go ahead.
So what we're talking about, specifically the construction stuff,
Mhm.
this is a fee issue.
100%, that's why I'm
So-
gonna,
He's coming to see us.
I'm coming to see them on Wednesday.
Oh, it's you guys that are.
He's gonna,
Well,
yeah.
It's,
Gonna go
we
visit
just
with
gotta
them.
vote yes.
right, so
They're gonna continue it.
I have rates, yeah, it's rates. You know, the rates have not been updated in
Years.
years.
Oh,
So I have a question on that.
So
'cause
we
you're
are
gonna go
addressing it.
See the
Good.
select board on Wednesday. I know that I go up there and use the bins to, I've thrown away a couple couches, I hate to say, this summer. But, there's never a set amount. Like, it's always just someone looks in the back of my car and says, oh yeah, this amount. Would it be helpful if the citizens knew
Well,
what the price was going to be?
100%. So part of that is, in a perfect world, we would have a scale, which is how most of it is done. But that is a long-term picture. That is not something we're gonna put in next year. That is gonna have to take
We looked at that before.
some time, because the scale is even. That's a number. You pay
Yeah.
X amount per ton, per pound, and that's fair.
So it mirrors what you're hauling over to
Correct.
Belmont.
And then when it goes out, it goes back across the scale, so we know what it costs before it gets to there. That is the best way. Short of that, it is, we have a rate, we have a staff meeting, we go over the rates, they get published in the pamphlet, they go out to the people, and then everybody knows what they're getting when they come in.
And the scale problem, I think when we looked, I think I was around when we looked at it, they freeze, they get wet, they break. And
That's, I mean,
There's methods.
there's methods and there's scales everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had our first conversation about it, and it just didn't, at that
I think it was
point,
fairly
make sense.
expensive, too.
It may-
Yeah.
as we go
Yeah.
on,
You gotta
it
take a
makes more
piss.
sense, but-
So you gotta get up there on Tuesday. Yeah.
We can probably get you some portable scales if that works for you.
Yeah. Haven't always had the best luck with
Porter
those.
scale,
It's okay.
Porter scale. I mean,
Come
I
on over here and try to
I got one of mine that never works, it always gives me the wrong number.
Okay, so we're all,
That's right. It's not your number.
300 series, 400. $500.
Can we back up one?
Yes, sir.
440. I'm a little curious. Rentals and leases, office for the brush facility, what do we rent it? The trailer or something?
Yeah, there's a Connex office down there for the attendant,
Oh, and you rent that?
yes.
Oh, okay.
So we pay $1,800 a year, it's $18,000 to buy it.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know how long it's been there.
No, I was
but
just curious, because I was looking at that
Yeah.
description in the office for the brush facility, I'm thinking, what? Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
600. 700. 800. I think it was a couple of years ago that the safety committee identified some issues up there, safety issues. Has that all been corrected for the guys that work up there?
Most of it. I think a lot of that was the construction they did beforehand, before I got here.
Yeah.
I know one thing that was identified was the fan in the building. That is hopefully going in the next week and a half.
Okay.
We are doing some electrical upgrades and some other things, lighting, heating.
The bathroom is done as well.
They get the bathroom all
Yeah,
done?
bathroom's all done. Thank you.
Okay, Jim, where'd you like to go now?
I believe it's capital outlay. First one is page 1 of capital outlay, hydrant replacement. I think Steve and Rod can explain this to you as we move through it. One thing that I'll say is we did, at our last board meeting, we had a report come in from Underwood that basically said, look, adjust your rates in January, 4%, 4%, 4%, 4%?
Three.
3%, and you're gonna cover your operating budget, you're in good shape. So, we anticipate being able to cover these hydrants without any issue, and again, this is, on the ratepayers. So, like I said, Steve and Rod will be able to answer any questions you have.
I think we talked about these before. Does anyone have any questions on the hydrants?
Nope.
So, just a clarification on what Jim was saying
Yeah.
about the operating budget. So the enterprise fund operating budget for sewer And well, water has no debt covered by taxation, right?
Correct, it's totally.
Got it, okay. Sewer has, what percent of sewer debt is covered by taxation?
100.
100% of sewer debt is covered by, in the general fund.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's identified in your budget
Yeah,
through
yeah,
interfund
I always get
transfer.
it posed up, I get it backwards. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, what you got, Jim?
Is there another one, Steve?
The water, sewer one we got.
Skid steer, right?
Skid steer.
Is that right?
Yes. 13. Page 13.
Page 13. This did go through the CIP process. This is a 50-50 split between streets,
Yep, streets and highways.
streets, and water department.
Yep.
We don't have any other piece of equipment that can do this.
John, we need to have one of everything.
So the answer is no. So this is also replacing one of mine. So I'm trading, or I'm dropping one off next year, replacing with this. So it's not adding to the fleet, it's replacing one.
So you have no money in that reserve account to buy this?
I do. I'm paying for half of it. The water department is gonna keep it in the wintertime, have to plant, to plow the plant. So they're paying for half of it. It's also gonna have a mower on it, so they can mow their cross-country lines in the summertime.
And that piece of equipment is gonna get funded out of the water budget. Half of it out of the
Half
water-
out of the water budget.
By the rate pay.
And half of it out of my capital reserve fund.
But why, the other half is in your, not in here, the 98 is what's gonna be paid out of water?
No, it's 50/50, so if it's 98,
I
so,
understand
50
it.
grand each,
I- Okay, 50 each, but if it was going to come out, you're gonna have money put in your capital reserve account, so.
that's
You
accounted
get,
for.
huh?
That's accounted
Yeah,
for.
but you don't need it here and there.
Well, the reason it's in there is because during CIP, we were told we had to put it in there, because that is the total ask for what we're spending. That's the only reason, because the original one only had 50.
It's twice. If you're taking, if I'm putting 380 into a capital reserve and you tell me you're gonna take it out of there, I don't wanna also see it in the operating budget because I'm being twice billed for it.
But at the bottom on the right-hand side, source of funding, it breaks it out as capital reserve withdrawal and
Can't do both.
user
Okay,
fees.
so you're saying only the 49 is going into the water, the other one is
Right.
not going to go into the operating budget under capital outlay, okay.
49 is being paid by the ratepayer, 49 is being paid by the taxpayer.
Correct.
So the payments to the capital reserve.
Yeah, that's why we do that in CFP.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I just thought that it,
Too many numbers on it.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, we discussed
you
that whole
know,
thing.
I just got a general question for you. What has changed that we suddenly need to spend over $100,000 on a piece of equipment that we haven't had to use the past 25 or 30 years?
He's replacing
I'm
the
replacing a
tractor
tractor that I already have.
What tractor are you replacing?
I'm replacing the New Holland tractor we have now that we mow
Where's
with.
that going?
It's done. It's junk.
Is this
It's
the
gotta
same
go.
New Holland tractor that Christine was,
Yeah. Yes.
was almost gifted?
Correct, and that every time it goes out, it comes back to be repaired.
Yeah,
It's
but-
past its life expectancy, it's done.
So that New Holland tractor has like been passed around, no?
I hate to split stuff up, especially equipment. I'd rather have it all come out of one account than take some from here and some from there. It gets confusing.
But that's how we did it with the excavator we bought last year.
Who paid for half of that?
Water department paid for half.
Sewer
Highway paid for
department
the
paid for 10%.
Yeah, sewer department paid for some, water department, and then highway department.
I kind of, you know, I'm kind of with John on this. I mean, it's like, you know, when you start getting into fractionalizing costs across departments, it gets a little
Well,
squeegee.
so my response to that would be, if you didn't, so who was gonna pay for it then? So is he gonna pay for it out of the water users
I
100%?
don't have a solution, but
You know what I
I'm just
mean?
observing that, you know, we had Dave Ford, you know, doing allocating headcount across departments, and we said, let's have a timeout on that. Don't do that, right? And now we're up at the capital level, having a similar conversation about allocating cost I don't have a solution, it just feels a little goofy, not goofy, scoochy, but it's clear what you're gonna do.
Bob?
I disagree with you.
Yeah.
I guess it's not the first time.
That's right.
But, I think this is a reasonable,
Yeah, I'm
solution.
okay with it.
You know, I'm on both, I'm on the taxpayer side, and I pay
I'm okay with it.
water and sewer, and I'm okay with it. So I think it's reasonable use of the equipment, and it's being paid for reasonably.
I think John was asking, the bigger question is why do we need it at all?
Tom?
Is there a shared use between departments
Yeah.
of the equipment, and so
Yes.
therefore the allocation?
Correct, that's why there's the,
You know, either you pay for all of it and then charge him for his use, or something.
which I can't do that.
I know,
Because,
right.
you know, he could do it, I suppose, being an enterprise fund, but
Right.
they don't need it 100% of the
Right.
time. You know, and I can do without it 100% of the time, so
Mm-hmm.
it benefits both, it benefits the town by doing it this way, because it allows us to not buy two pieces of equipment for two departments when one will do.
Couldn't we do, if you look at the M&B tractor and equipment thing,
Mhm.
60 months, 1.99%, $1,400 a month for 60 months. That might be a little bit less hit than the 98,000.
I don't know what he's referring to.
I don't have that.
You've got the thing from M&B tractor, the estimate of the 112,958, to give you a couple of options for 60 months financing
It must be Christine.
and for 36 months financing.
It's Christine's.
That's Christine.
No,
No, it's not. That
Is
is-
this the tractor? Or
Yeah,
what?
he put that on there, but that's not, so for, number one, number two, those rates aren't accurate anymore, so this was done back a while back,
September 5th.
back in September. So the rates have changed, because we went through this with Christine and her tractor.
But if the rates were, say, 1% or 0% for 60 months, so 0.99%, do you think that's a better deal, to go to 60 months and having us pay a full 98,000 right up front?
Me personally,
No, because you'll say, no, I want the 95,000.
I would just, I mean,
So can I just make a comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank you actually for working together because we're a town and each department sometimes, I see that we treat each department like its own municipality. And sometimes that's a little frustrating for the taxpayers to think we're not sharing some of our stuff. So I appreciate the fact that you've combined to do this.
we tried.
Thank you.
Yeah, John's absolutely, right. You know, John's got a point. I'm not a big fan of lease purchases. Would that be a lease purchase, the 60 months, John? You own it after 60 months?
Yeah, I believe
So
so.
I don't know what the-
$1,600, 60 months, 96 grand. The present value of that is, you know, that piece of equipment you should lease. Because if you're getting a 2 or 3 or 4% interest rate on that lease, then the face value of that tractor is probably, in today's money, probably worth about $82,000, not $95,000. So they're getting paid, you know, they're getting paid a margin up front. It's quick math, but it might not be a bad idea to go 1,600 for 60 months, if you can get it for, you know, 1 or 2%, you own it after that. Although, you'd have to look at what the maintenance is gonna be, right? Because it could be 1,600 for 60 months and then another $88 for maintenance, and, you know, you gotta look at all the other stuff around it.
That's, I guess I need the direction of which way we want to go with that. I think in our particular situation with the enterprise fund, it's already factored in there to just purchase it. It's already in my capital reserve fund, already set aside for that. But, you know, the other part of that is with the leases, I believe you have to allocate that money for the next umpteen years. Accordingly, that will probably go in the operating budget, I believe, because that's what the fire department does, which I guess isn't that big of a deal.
So-
And then
Go ahead.
you also, Kubota has to approve the municipal leases as well,
Yeah.
which that's probably technicality, but there is extra steps in there.
So let's put the question back to Jim and Linda. When you looked at it, you had the 1,660 months.
On this one and the one Christine, we thought it was better to just purchase it. That's what we gave out.
I can sit here with 100% confidence and say I didn't look at the lease
option in this. I looked at the gross number, and it fell in line with his CIP plan, and I was, okay, we're good to go.
Would you have any objection, Jim, looking into the lease to see what if there's a good option there or anything? I know we've released cruisers and other things before.
Sure, we can do that.
We looked at it for Christine's, and we decided it wasn't a good deal to lease it, we went with the full amount.
It's because of the rates. The rates,
Yeah,
I think,
the
went up
cost
to
of money.
6.5. I think Kubota's lease rate is 6.5 now.
If the cost of money is over four,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make sense.
I'm a huge proponent of leasing. I looked into leasing the loader last year, I was trying to work on a plan to lease our plow trucks, and then the rates just went through the roof. It's not feasible, 6.5%, even on a municipal lease is not, like you said, 1 or 2. But
So this is, I would assume, a revisit.
Yeah.
I think the next item is.
Can I just ask another quick question, Jim? How do we put these out for bid, or did someone just say, let's call them B, or let's call this first?
This will go out to bid.
go out to bid.
Okay.
This is just price quoting.
That's when we run up the advertising budget by having those bid openings.
That's
Then we
right.
can cut the budget there.
So the next item is a dumpster replacement at solid waste.
I thought we bought all those last year.
No, we bought just the barrels, boxes,
Yes, I remember.
at
questioning that.
$1,500 a pop.
Okay, so where do these dumpsters go on the
Those,
side?
so those are the
on
ones that she puts her couch in, and those up there.
I
So
thought
right
those
now,
It's my mother-in-law's.
Huh?
Did you buy them?
no,
One,
So
one,
tho-
two, and
those-
three.
huh?
1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3. The ones that we have currently belong to Casella. Right now, we have them for free. As they get damaged, they're gonna start charging us rental. So when I'm trying to stay ahead of that curve, so we're not 6 months into next year, they're bad, we now have to start paying dumpster rentals, we start to replace our own. We already own the comp boxes, so this adds to it
What's the useful life of a dumpster?
a lot if you take care of it. 15 years.
10 years, 20 years, what?
Yeah, 15.
15.
15.
Yeah.
Jim, why used to just put in the regular budget? It's only 10 grand, I think.
We cut it. It was 20, and the Board of Selectmen cut it down to 10.
Steve, we didn't talk about this at CIP, did we?
Yes.
My memory serve me right?
Yep, we had the
We
dumpsters.
did talk about
Yep.
it, yeah, I thought we did. But we
Yeah.
talked about the 20.
Yes, and then they cut it to 10.
Okay, that's
They
why,
cut it to 10.
that's why we were talking about
And
the
if,
CIP.
so when it was 20, it brought me out of my operating budget. Now
Yeah.
it cuts back to 10,
That's right.
but
Gotcha.
It's already here.
we're already beyond that point.
We'll do like 1 year.
Yeah, it looks like they have.
As long as Bobby doesn't be throwing a couch.
It's my mother-in-law's, not mine.
Pretty amazing that the cost of shipping it is half the cost of making it.
I know. Isn't that amazing?
Okay, Jim, what else?
I think that's it, isn't it? We have the pump stations cut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 25,000.
I think that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Hey,
Okay,
John,
we're gonna do the minutes, next meeting at 8:30.
John, can I ask you a question, Steve?
Yes, sir.
So, with the budget you got, this isn't, it's just a genuine question. Are you treading water? Are you making progress? And the reason I ask is I reflect on during Dave Owen's time, we purchased a road service management plan from Underwood Engineering. And it laid out every road and everything you had to do sequentially, right? The problem was it wasn't sequentially right because they had roads out of sequence. But what needed to be done, and Dave Ford vividly would tell us, You needed, what, $1 million? What,
$1,300,000.
million, I thought it was like $1.2 million, but I'll go with whatever number. It was $1.2 million just to keep our heads above water. Just, and if we went underneath that, then we were running the risk of not maintaining roads, but fixing broken roads. You know, we were gonna get to the level of fixed broken stuff.
Yes.
And I'm not doing this to encourage a budget discussion, but where are we? Are we treading water?
No,
You should
Are
know
we
that.
blowing
No.
bubbles?
we're maybe blowing bubbles at best, at best. We are
Are
at,
we making the right priority decisions? That's a
that-
rhetorical question for somebody
yeah,
else.
that's above my pay grade.
Okay, got it, thank you.
Still, and I asked for it.
Okay.
Okay.
I would sit here and say that we take that road surface management plan heavily into consideration when we're making determinations as to what needs to be done on the road. We tie it in with common sense approaches to what's in the ground for water and sewer.
Right.
Bring it forward as either a standalone project, as we've done in the past couple of years, such as Green Street or the other ones off of Center Street, and then our road monies. I think the scary part, Paul, is, I think you said it, in 2018, that was $1.4 million. In
that year's
2024,
money.
you don't get the same amount of road build as you do for $1.4 million anymore.
On top of that, I've always felt you ignore stuff, if you ignore stuff for decades, it comes back to haunt you.
Well, you can only kick the can down the hall long enough, it's
Yeah,
gonna hit the
yeah.
end. So
Yeah.
that's,
When you got water mains in the ground from 1890 and you're losing half the sewerage is not finding its way to the sewer treatment plant, then, you got a problem.
I think, but then on the flip side of that is there is only so much money.
Yeah, well, that's the battle.
And we've started replacing buildings that were built in the 1970, and they all came in, and, we were behind on the water and the sewer, I mean, you start catching up, and then something else goes.
Well, and again, this comes off as may come off as a speech, but that was a wonderful conversation about how it's working. And it may sound disrespectful, that's called problem admiration. We're not making progress. We have to make progress, or we're gonna be fixing broken stuff. That's the goal. Make progress or or we're gonna be fixing broken stuff. And we're not gonna tamp it up this year because this budget is pretty hefty. But again, my advice to all of us is, we're gonna start thinking about that, and I'm not, please don't take it the wrong way. It's the only way I learn how to speak, is just be blunt. It's problem admiration to say, yeah, it's broke. Just busted. Well, let's admire it some more.
Well, I think we also have to worry about how much the people can afford. And when you replace a building for $13.1 million, it's hit on the people.
That'll take our,
That'll take-
that'll take our debt service next year to over $2 million.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is what you're balancing. Yeah, I'd love to come through and say, okay, we're gonna do all these repairs, but the reality is, there's just so much that some people can pay, and so we pick and choose where we are. And we've done a library, we've done a town hall, we've done the Pop Whalen, we did the public safety building. They were buildings that really needed some major work done. And that's your debt service you're looking at. And you got, then eventually we need a new wastewater treatment plant, shall we go on,
We got a lot of stuff underground we gotta do, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's not like, there's a real hard balance in that.
Sorry I opened that can of bananas.
Well, I think you brought up a good point, and I think it'll be interesting, in a couple of years, if you can believe it or not, we're probably gonna be starting to look at master planning again. And there's gonna have to be some serious conversations as to, okay, what do we need to do? The good news is we've checked a lot of those items on that master plan off. Long ways to go, but we've checked a lot of marks on that.
Okay. Now, I got it, just any other business? Any public comment? We're going to do the minutes on Thursday. And as you know, we've changed the schedule around. You should have got an agenda from Leanne in your email. Next Thursday is going to be general government, planning and zoning, finance and IT. And also, we're going to cover the item that Jim brought up. So again, if you have any questions, please call Jim between now and Thursday, so we're not spending
At noon.
a ton of time.
Before noon.
Before noon, correct.
Do not call them after the...
Correct. Okay, so you get no public comment. How about a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.